Hi, my name is Court. I'm a pyrography artist, also known as Hippie North. Today we will be using whatever woodburning tool you have to learn 5 pyrography techniques that will help you achieve better and more precise line work. Woodburning is the first skill to master when you are beginning pyrography. Line work is applied to almost every woodburning project, making it necessary for you to learn the foundational line techniques so you can ultimately advance your skills for years to come. These are the tools I'm using today. I have the Walnut Hollow Creative Versa tool with the universal nib and flow nib, and the SSD10 dual system by Razertip with the round-ended Skew pen and the 0.4 millimeter ball stylus pen. I will be demoing with both of these tools to show you that each type of tool works the same for each technique. Just be sure you have one nib that is straight and sharp like a blade and one that is round like a ball. It doesn't matter the size. I will be using a higher heat setting for both tools today to demonstrate each technique. Technique number 1 is for making uniform lines with a blade nib. By this I mean burning a line that is consistently the same size or thickness throughout its length. Grab your blade nib and a piece of smooth wood. Blades are my go-to for creating uniform lines, whether I want the lines thick or thin or straight or curved, blades always win. The burning technique I use for uniform lines I call the push away or the pull towards method. The push away method requires you to hold your tool like this, so the nib's longest point is at the top and the shortest point is at the bottom. If you think of a foot or a boot, the shortest point is the heel and the longest point are the toes. So put the sharp edge down into the wood and slightly lift the toes. Keep heavier pressure in the heel and glide the nib forwards, pushing away from you. Keep the toes lifted and keep your pressure consistent as you are burning. This carves and burns a crisp line into the wood. And the more pressure you apply down and the slower you burn, the thicker that line is going to be, whereas the faster you go with lighter pressure will result in a thinner line. The pull towards technique is the opposite, holding the tool the same way, but this time pull towards you with the heel slightly lifted and you are pressing down heavier into the toes. You can think of moving a boat through water with the front slightly lifted, or a snowboard moving down a hill with the front edge lifted so that you don't face plant and eat the snow. Lifting the front point of the nib will avoid getting that sharp point stuck in the wood and tripping your nib, which ultimately leads to a broken and a not so uniform line. Technique 2 is to use a metal ruler for straight lines. You can use blade nibs or rounded nibs for this technique. To master a straight line, you will gently press the nib against the ruler and also down into the wood and burn your line. You can burn back and forth a few times to get your line even. The nib can transfer heat into the metal ruler, so watch your fingertips. A metal putty knife also does the trick, and since you're holding a handle, it keeps those fingers from getting too toasty. Technique number 3, uniform lines with a rounded nib, also known as a ballpoint nib or a ball stylus nib. To make a precise line, you'll need to learn the airplane technique. Think of an airplane in motion, touching down onto the tarmac, maintaining a consistent speed and pressure, and then lifting off again. It doesn't matter which direction you move your rounded nib, unlike blade nibs, but it does matter how you move your nib. Using the airplane technique will help you avoid burning a dotted line, which is a common outcome with rounded nibs. Make sure you rest your hand or wrist on a flat surface to stabilize this movement. Your nib has to touch down and lift off with the same speed that you are burning your line. Start with very light pressure and apply more pressure until the desired thickness of your line is achieved. Maintain that pressure until your line work is complete to create a uniform line. For really tight curves, such as the ones you find in small cursive writing, use a really fine rounded nib, such as Razertip's 0.4 millimeter ball stylus pen. I burn at a higher heat with this pen, which requires lighter pressure when burning, and it allows the nib to effortlessly and smoothly glide across the wood surface, creating the best little uniform lines. Technique number 4 is movement is required to curve a line. By this I mean you either need to move your fingers to roll the tool or move your arm to curve the line, or you need to move the wood. If you're using a blade nib for small curves, you'll notice you'll need to roll the tool between your fingers. This movement guides the nib along that small curve. For large curves with blade nibs, you'll also need to move your arm to guide the nib. And for large curves with any tool or nib, such as when you're burning circles, you'll need to also rotate your wood around so the curving line stays in front of you for an easier burning experience. Technique number 5 is touching up a line. There is no pyrography artist on the planet who can burn perfect lines. Most of the lines you will burn will always have tiny or small irregularities and inconsistencies throughout, and that's okay. That's totally normal and expected. But if there are some larger inconsistencies in your line, then the best technique is to reburn the entire line to match the thickness of that thickest area. Blade nibs are my go-to when I need to touch up a line. Take your time and slowly reburn the entire line until it's crisp and uniform and the thickness is consistent throughout the length. You'd never even know there was a happy accident there. You are now a master at burning lines, which means you're ready for your next wood burning project. This rose design from my book Wood Burning Workshop has a variety of different lines, all requiring different techniques and nibs. It's up to you to decide which nibs and tools and techniques work best for you. And everyone has a preference. There's no right or wrong way to burn. But with lots of practice, you'll begin to notice which tools, nibs, and techniques you gravitate towards. I hope this video gave you the confidence to tackle new wood burning projects and to continue learning more pyrography techniques. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful and subscribe for more tutorials. See you in the next tutorial. Happy burning!